You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 18th day of March, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. Now, the first live broadcast, it's private. It's our live training room. Members only, and those taking their 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us here in about 50 minutes, he'll walk you through the process, step by step, piece of cake. No credit card required, and for 5 consecutive trading days, we treat you just like you were a member. You have access to everything except the members only workshop on Thursday night. From the live training room to the indicators to the alerts to, well, everything. I think that says it pretty well. You have access to everything during the free trial. And again, no credit card required, because we want you to have a clear head so you can focus, you can learn, and then at the end of the 5 days, make a well-informed, intelligent decision if trading is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the afternoon broadcast, which, unlike the morning broadcast, is open to the public. That's everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways you can join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, because you only have to do it once, go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says afternoon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before the broadcast starts. In that email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. Benefit there is you have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And there will be days when you're just busy. Can't join live, but want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,700 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. youtube.com/CFRN. Now, our daily schedule, as you can see, is posted right here. So we're going to jump right into our daily devotional. Our current topic is doing things that matter. Now, over the last few days, we've talked about dreaming wildly. Now we're going to move into something a little bit different. But first, let me give you today's scripture. Luke 9, verses 23 through 27. And I'm going to share it with you from the Message translation. Then he told them what they could expect for themselves. Anyone who intends to come with me has to let me lead. You're not in the driver's seat. I am. Don't run from suffering. Embrace it. Follow me and I'll show you how. Self-help is no help at all. Self-sacrifice is the way, my way, to finding yourself, your true self. What good would it do to get everything you want and lose you, the real you? If any of you is embarrassed with me and the way I'm leading you, know that the Son of Man will be far more embarrassed with you when he arrives in all his splendor in company with the Father and the holy angels. This isn't, you realize, pie in the sky by and by. Some who have taken their stand right here are going to see it happen. See with their own eyes the kingdom of God. Luke 9, verses 23 through 27. So, for the last few days, we've talked about, as part of doing things that matter, we've covered dreaming wildly. Today, we're going to shift gears and talk about living differently. Becoming different in a world of vast similarity requires breaking free of the things that hold you down and keep you grounded in the sea of sameness. Think about your life, and I'm certain you can identify things you haven't surrendered but need to. You must possess the courage to let go of the things that anchor you to the safe and familiar. It's time to let go of things that limit your faith. Go ahead and consider areas in your life that need change. Areas that you need to let go of by moving on, getting rid of, forgiving, or forgetting. What is that thing, relationship, time consumer, or bitterness that you need to let go of? Perhaps you have a desire to have a certain reputation. Maybe you work too much or spend way too much time on your phone. Maybe things like materialism, greed, jealousy, or anger seem to get in the way of the cross. What do you need to let go of in order to pick up the cross? After all, we are all called to carry our cross every day. And to carry the cross, sometimes we have to put something else down. Many times, we think we are living for Jesus, but all we're doing is carrying around the same things in this life that everyone else is carrying. So even though we love Jesus, we may not be that different, much less a person who is living the gospel or doing things that matter. Too many people who claim to love Jesus are just dipping their toe into the pool and claiming that they are swimming. Living differently is a cannonball into a pool of endless possibilities that a life with Christ has to offer. The goal isn't to be different. However, following Jesus results in a life that is different. Maybe that's why Peter said we would be like strangers in this world, or why Paul said we should shine like the stars. People may not always understand some of the things faithful followers do or believe, but the hope is that the ways we are different will make a huge difference in this world. So here's a question. What do you need to let go of so you can pick up the cross? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for calling us to follow Jesus. Help us to deny ourselves, take up our cross daily, and walk in obedience to you. Give us the strength to surrender our lives for your glory, knowing that true life is found in Christ alone. Keep our hearts fixed on eternity, unashamed of the gospel, and bold in our faith. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Tuesday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices. Currently the Dow is down 293 points. NASDAQ is down 265, 1.5%. S&P 500 down 57, a little over 1%. And the Russell 2000, or man in the street, down 23 points, almost 1.25%. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 40 cents, trading 67.18 last. Gold up $33.80, trading 39.70 last. That's a gain of well over 1%. Silver up 42 cents, trading 34.73 last. That's a gain of almost 1.25%, or almost $2,500 per contract traded. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a gain of 448 points, 1.25%. Shanghai rose 3. The Hang Seng gained 595 points, 2.5%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 14, the DAX up 182, the CAC up 26. So we had a green day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK, but it is a big red Radio Tuesday here in the US of A. You've heard of Turnaround Tuesday. Well, this is what a Turnaround Tuesday looks like. Yep. All right, let's stimulate ourselves with the news. President Trump is set to speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin today about a potential ceasefire in Ukraine and a framework for a peace deal aimed at resolving the three-year conflict. The talks are expected to cover territorial concessions and control of key assets, including power plants and infrastructure. Ukraine accepted the 30-day ceasefire proposal last week, while Russia has expressed concerns about Ukraine's military activities during the truce. We can only hope that this phone call today with Putin goes better than the Oval Office visit with Zelensky. It's been a couple weeks now. That was brutal. Russia has illegally annexed 4 Ukrainian regions since 2022, but doesn't fully control any of them. However, in the occupied part of the Zaporizhia region, Russia controls Europe's largest nuclear power plant. President Zelensky has maintained that his country's sovereignty is non-negotiable, while Moscow has demanded that Ukraine abandon its NATO aspirations. Separately, the UK and France have pledged to lead a multinational peacekeeping force with more than 30 countries expected to send troops or logistical support as part of a broader effort to secure Ukraine and enforce the ceasefire. Now, that's news. Lives are at stake. So now we jump to something that most of us will never have to deal with. Harvard University. I'm sure we got a few Harvard grads in the audience. Congratulations. But yesterday, Harvard announced it would make tuition free for all students from households making up to $200,000 and cover the full cost of attendance, including room, board, and associated expenses for students from households earning under $100,000. The move makes the school the latest to try to expand access to middle and lower income candidates, following MIT, University of Pennsylvania, and others. School officials estimate that more than 85% of families in the U.S. will receive some form of assistance, with support tapering off as household income reaches $400,000. Support is likely to be drawn from the university's endowment, the world's largest, at around $50 billion. Yet, U.S. taxpayers still give Harvard an ungodly sum of money every year. Why is that? Admission still remains intensely competitive at the school, with an acceptance rate near 3.5% in 2024. So 3.5 students out of 100 actually get in who qualify to apply. Well, what's the latest thing in the internet? Laser-based internet. Google parent Alphabet will spin off its laser-based internet startup into an independent company, according to reports yesterday. Known as Tara, the firm is anticipated to compete directly with SpaceX Starlink as a means of providing high-quality internet access to hard-to-reach locations. Starlink, which currently serves an estimated 5 million users across 100 nations and territories, uses a network of thousands of satellites to connect users to high-speed broadband. Terra's approach relies on a land-based system of lasers beaming information back and forth to each other. While each approach has pros and cons, laser networks don't need to be launched into space, but can be blocked if an object gets in the way. Maybe somebody builds a building. Company engineers say they can transmit 20 gigabytes of information per second across more than, wait for it, 10 miles. I'm sure it'll get better. Alphabet says the company will be focusing on helping established telecom firms extend their existing networks. So, it's a good thing, right? Laser-based internet. Now, what are the long-term ramifications of all these laser beams bouncing around? Which obviously you can't see, touch, hear, feel, right? We probably still don't know the long-term ramifications of radio waves or television waves. It's interesting when you think about it. All this information is zipping through the air, right by your head. You can't hear it, you can't see it, unless you're tuned into the exact right frequency or channel, or you follow me, right? Okay, fair enough. As markets attempt to recover from recent sell-off action that's left the S&P and NASDAQ in correction territory, one major catalyst this week could make or break a comeback. And that's tomorrow's Federal Reserve policy decision. The central bank is expected to hold interest rates steady in the face of tariff uncertainties and recent growth concerns. But the simultaneous release of the Fed's quarterly forecast, otherwise known as the Summary of Economic Projections, along with Fed Chair Jerome Powell's post-decision press conference, will be at the center of investor unpacking. Powell, post-FOMC, will have to reassure markets growth remains healthy and inflation's trajectory still points to 2%, as confidence is wavering amid stagflation worries or outright recession fears. A bleak economic scenario in which growth stalls, inflation persists, and unemployment rises. Stagflation has become the latest buzzword in financial markets as investors attempt to understand the administration's shifting trade narrative and other policy unknowns, including recent efforts to cut government jobs from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. In a global survey of 171 participants, Bank of America's latest Global Fund Manager Survey, released today, showed 71% of surveyed investors expect stagflation, the highest level since November of 2023. After falling more than 10% in less than a month, the S&P 500 has risen for 2 straight sessions. Now, obviously, this article was written in the middle of the night because things have changed, and you'll see when we go to the chart. I just read you the numbers. Okay, it's a red day in the USA. But many on Wall Street don't think the recent 3% bump in the index is a sign that the market is clearly bottomed for the year. Yeah, I don't think so. We see the sell-off in U.S. equities as having further to go, according to Deutsche Bank chief strategist, who predicts the S&P 500 will eventually rally 24% from current levels, in a note he wrote to clients on Sunday. Morgan Stanley's chief investment officer, Mike Wilson, told clients that a tradable rally is possible in the markets. But Wilson doesn't see a sustainable rally to new record highs until the numerous growth headwinds are reversed or the Fed resumes interest rate cuts. Good luck with that. And from Bloomberg, a pioneer of the $100 billion options-powered ETF market has filed for more than 70 new funds in one go, in a bet that amped up investment products will boom anew despite fears of industry overcrowding and investor exhaustion. New York-based Direxion on Friday submitted paperwork to the Securities and Exchange Commission to introduce a fresh batch of leverage and inverse ETFs in the largest ever filing spree from an asset manager. Included in the long list of trades offering to amp up returns on single stocks in both a bullish and bearish direction are those favored by retail traders such as PayPal Holdings, Roblox Corp, Shopify. Direxion also listed trades involving the semiconductor, consumer services, and real estate sectors. The record number of filings come as day traders with bullish bets get crushed with stocks down again today. This article was written a little later, right? After the S&P 500 entered a correction last week. Since the market's dropped from its February peak, assets held by a cohort of leveraged ETF issuers have plunged as much as 18%. Issuers are no longer just throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what will stick, but the lasagna and the pizza too. Henry Gem, ETF analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence, said Direxion may not launch all products that it filed for, but the flurry of paperwork allows the firm to gauge investor interest. German lawmakers passed a landmark spending package, taking a major step toward unlocking hundreds of billions of euros in debt financing for defense and infrastructure, and heralding the end of decades of budget austerity. The controversial legislation, pushed by conservative Chancellor-in-Waiting Friedrich Merz, was approved today in the lower house of Parliament with 513 votes out of a total of 733, clearing the two-thirds threshold required for constitutional changes. The bill would largely release defense spending from debt restrictions, creating a potentially unlimited supply of money. I'll say it again. Creating a potentially unlimited supply of money. Kind of like America. Yeah. To rearm, to deter Russia. It could also set up a 500 billion euro, or $546 billion, fund to invest in the country's aging infrastructure. The magic money machines, they're everywhere you look. Nvidia stock down about 3% this morning. Now it's recovered down about a little over 1.5%. Ahead of the AI chipmakers' annual GTC event in California. The CEO is expected to kick off a keynote previewing what's ahead for the company. His commentary will likely be closely watched by investors evaluating whether the AI trade still has room to run. And with the share price down to $1.86 or 1.5% at the moment, maybe they're not so excited about what he had to say. All right. Okay, Logic 247. It's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, crude, gold, silver. Over the last 346 weeks, we've issued over 19,100 individual handcrafted alerts. And by the end of the week, it'll be 19,200. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Now, Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. She'll, of course, update it this afternoon, as she does every day. Since the markets opened Sunday night, we've issued a total of 15 alerts. Now, the number of alerts issued is determined by market structure. So with 15 issued, we're still waiting on the outcome of 7. So we've had 8 actionable alerts, of which 2, or 25%, 25% stopped out so far. Now, this time last week we were sitting at 0%. We finished the week last week with 6%, I think it was. So where will we end this week? I don't know. I just know that over 346 weeks, we've averaged 20% or less on a weekly basis. We've had a few weeks that closed above 20%, but we've also had some weeks that were at 0%. So important thing to remember is when you have a week, right, or a day where you have no stop outs, that doesn't mean you've stumbled onto the Holy Grail somehow, or God has found special favor with you. Getting stopped out is as much a part of trading as breathing is a part of life. It happens. Okay? So you can run from it. You can try to hide from it. You can do all kinds of things, but it's still going to happen. So why not learn how to deal with it properly? By moving on and looking for the next viable opportunity. That's where a lot of new traders get hung up. 2 stop outs in a row, I'm done for the day. If you have ever been in the live training room, sometimes you'll see Michael get stopped out 3 times in a row. But what does he do? Keeps trading. When you have a definable edge, you've got to be committed to applying that edge every time it presents itself. Now, obviously, if you go through a period of days where just everything you touch gets stopped out, then something's off. So you need to bring it up in the live training room. Ask good questions. You'll never get the right answer by asking the wrong question. So ask good questions and make sure you understand the answer. Don't just nod your head and say, oh, okay, because you don't want to feel, silly. It's okay to feel silly. You can be silly. What would be silly is to get an answer that holds the information you need, but yet you don't understand it. It's as if someone's speaking a foreign language. You can ask the same question again and again and again, and you can say, hey, I heard what you said, but I don't understand. I heard it again, but I don't quite understand it. And we'll figure out some way to break it down to the point where you do understand it. That's important. Now, every logic alert has an entry price, an initial target, additional targets in many cases, and always a final trade to target. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m., 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. However, the true purpose of the logic alerts is to help you to learn how to read a chart. Any chart of anything in any time frame, along with the help of our humble indicators, you should be able to look at a chart and know where the next potential resistance is, the next potential support, and clearly see the window of opportunity between those 2 points. Now, once you've done that, does that mean you're going to have a 100% profitable track record? No. Like I said, 19,000, almost 200 individual alerts. And still, 20% of the time, the market does not do the next high probability thing for whatever reason. Okay? I could stand here and go through the whole list of reasons, but I'm sure you've heard it before. So, if you're wasting time or treasure chasing that never get stopped out again holy grail that all those websites and emails promise you, you're playing a losing game. Okay? The only secret to trading is learning how to trade. And that's our goal, to teach you how to trade. Now, long before there was a Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they are different. Different in a number of ways. Number one, they don't come out around the clock. They're posted, when possible, shortly before the Globex open. Now, Sunday nights, it's difficult for me to do that, but every other day of the week, I try to get them out at 5:55 p.m. Eastern, 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open. Now, if I'm going to publish at 5:55, I put a note in the discussion group in Telegram. And if I know I'm not going to be able to publish at 5:55, I put a note in Telegram. Try to keep you well informed so you're not sitting there waiting for something that's not going to come out at a certain time. Okay? So I'll always do my best to get them out by this time, but some days life will just prevent it. So what that means is every one of our members and trial members had every one of these targets 5 minutes before the Tuesday session started last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. The S&P, the Dow, the Russell, the crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So, let's go look at the daily chart. Yep, it's true. Now, you'll recall, because we're on such a long bull run for such a long time, that I would often, when we, like the last time I had to do it was on December 6th, when we put in the new all-time historic high. I had to grab that top fib line and move it up, right? But if we continue down, then I'll be grabbing this line and pulling it down. Okay. This huge move down, which started back in February 20th. We had the perfect stack coming down. Price, step line, red and falling. Bearish cross, that's when the red line gets below the green line. The green line is the BBC, just stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above it, we're bullish. and expect higher prices. When price pulls up from below, we expect it to hold. The pullback holds more often than not. So when price crosses below, lower prices, crosses above, higher prices. Okay, that part's pretty simple. And then this was unusual. For a couple of weeks, the black step line and red and falling were just kind of glued together. Now the step line has hooked right. And yesterday, we spiked above the 24% fib retracement. Now, if you weren't tuned in yesterday, we took off the regular fibs, which go from the most recent significant low to the most recent high, which was December 6th. But these are reverse fibs. Instead of going from the low to the high, we're going from the high to the low. So the bounce that we got so far, yesterday we hit the 24 and we closed slightly above it. But then we opened last night and we dropped. Now notice where the market found support, at the step line. Whenever the step line gets directly, the step line or red and falling gets directly below price, as they both are right now, this can become potential support. And if price trades through the step line, then this becomes potential support. Why? Because it's probably on its way to becoming blue and climbing, which is bullish. See how you had red and falling all the way down, and then it turned. And then you got that nice run. Same with blue and climbing. When it gets directly above price, it can become resistance, because it's possibly on its way to becoming red and falling, which is bearish. So today we're straddling the 24. We've got support that we're sitting on top of right here. Where we close the session today. We got to get through this support. This is a major support area where the step line is. And we've got another support here, here, and then at the most recent low, which was 55.99 3/4. Yesterday it looked like we were heading for the 38. Then the daily VVC, which again we would expect either one of those. Whenever you hit a fib on a daily chart, institutional traders, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Has to do with account size. You see, it's those deep pockets that actually move price. So whether you trade futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. I encourage you to spend 2 minutes with the daily chart of whatever you trade before you drop to your smaller time frames and start trading. This gives you the big picture look. You're looking over the shoulder of the deep pockets for free. The deep pockets that move price. Okay? You're looking over their shoulder. What are they doing? Looks like they did a whole lot of selling until they got to an area where we would expect support. Now we've come off the low of the session a little bit. We're sitting right on that step line. If this thing reverses today, I'll publish the surprise-o-meter because it looks pretty heavy. I don't know that we're going to go lower, but we may. I mean, all the news is so negative. But tomorrow's Fed day, and things tend to get kind of quiet ahead of the Fed, even when, a lot of you don't remember, there used to be a time when the Fed never revealed their hand. And sometimes there would be surprise Fed announcements, raising, lowering, whatever the case. It's a much different Fed today. Press conferences, that never happened in the past. Okay? Now, it's still a criminal banking cabal, privately owned. It's no part of the U.S. government, but yet they affect what you pay for your car, for your house, as far as interest rate goes. Read The Creature from Jekyll Island, and I won't have to tell you. Okay, all alerts, both the Logic 247 and the Concierge Trade Alerts, are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes, just the time frame I chose many years ago. I've stuck with it. The vertical lines separate today, Tuesday, from Monday. Back over here is Friday. Now, these are this week's weekly trading zones. They're published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. And when price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. So the support we found at the zone yesterday, Monday, we're finding it again here today on Tuesday. Okay? So this was the opening candle last night. Now we've published the zone since every week for our members since December 14th of 2009. A little over 15 years. And what's changed about them over the 15 years? Absolutely nothing. Price typically just goes from zone to zone and then back to the zone. So here's the open last night. Remember, these targets were published 5 minutes ahead of the open. So we opened and we had blue and climbing directly overhead. We know that's potential resistance. So we come down to the BBC. We got red and falling, so we actually get below the BBC. And as we look left, market finds support in that area right there. Red and falling turns to blue and climbing. So we get a little pop right here. But we fail to take out that high, sign of weakness. So we go back to the zone where we consolidate. Only 3 things happen when price encounters a weekly trading zone. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. What you see right here and right here. 20% of the time is a rejection. 10% of the time is the slice. So we came to the zone, we dipped below it, then we dipped above it, then we dipped below it. Those are not good trading conditions, honestly. But once blue and climbing turned to red and falling, and we traded down. We not only hit the target, we traded through the target. Now that was the 9:30 opening candle. Came all the way down through the target, and what are we doing now for the last few hours? Consolidating at the weekly trading zone. Again, that's what happens 70% of the time. Price is trying to take out this low. If it can, look all the way back to Friday, and a great window of opportunity would be 56.46 to 56.36. Yeah, That's a 10-point window. Okay. The Dow. Same thing. We open here with support below, resistance above. Red and falling takes us down to the BBC. We consolidate at the BBC for most of the overnights. The overnight sessions have not been very active of late, and that's unusual. We get below, we come down right here, we hit the zone, which we expect to be support. The zone's 42035 / 42040. So we hit the zone, support bounces up to resistance at the BBC. Remember, the pullback holds more often than not, especially when you got red and falling there. And now red and falling has taken us, so we got a leg, we consolidated, and then we got a leg, okay, and a little retracement back up to red and falling, and now we're just about to hit that short target. Currently the lows 72 and the target's at 45, and it's based off that right there. Okay, so do I think we'll hit it? Probably. Do I know what's going to happen next in the market? Not a clue. Actually, that's not true. While it's impossible to know what's going to happen next in the market, you can know with a great degree of certainty what the next high probability move is once you learn how to read the chart, understand how price flows, and use our very humble indicator set. Okay. All right, on the Russell, here's where we open. Again, just like the other two markets we've looked at, the indices typically look the same. We dropped to the BBC and the pullback, yeah, basically held. We caught a little bounce here around 4:30 a.m. Here's 4 a.m. Then we get back below the BBC. So we get a leg and a retracement. And then we get a leg that takes us through the zone, but it's still touching the zone. So we just consolidate sideways. And we came really close to the short target. It was 58 and the low was 59.3. So, but we're still below the BBC and we are printing a red candle. So notice how price is sitting right on top of the step line and red and falling. They're acting as support. If price trades through that again, then it just needs to take out these two lows, and that would put us at the target. Okay. In Q, here's where we open. Support below, resistance overhead. We come down through the BBC, and we create that same pattern we saw in the other indices. Resistance at the zone and consolidation. We get below the BBC, blue and climbing turns to red and falling, takes us down to the target, through the zone, and we hit the zone to the tick. This zone's 19611 / 612. Remember, when price drops to a zone, we expect support. When it rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. Price is sitting right on top of the step line. That's support. Okay, remember, when it gets directly below price, it becomes support. On the way down, okay, if you were shorting, then that was your friend. You had the perfect stack. Price, step line, red falling, BBC. So the question is, what now? It's kind of quiet, and it may be quiet right on up until Fed Day, which is tomorrow day.
Tomorrow day.
Yeah. All right, guys, Michael's here. We'll pick up where we left off. Crude really had a fall today. We'll talk about that in a little more detail. But Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform. And then I'll come back. We'll finish up the recap of the CTAs and close out with our good word for the day.
Excellent.
Okay, looks good.
All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 18th day of March, 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right there. There is no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that purple button. It will bring you to this page, registration page, where all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down here at the bottom, you should really get TradingView if you're going to take a trial with us. Get TradingView. All right, you can get a trial on TradingView. You got to pay $7 for real-time data, but get the trial for TradingView. Okay, if you have Ninja, give us your machine ID if you want to use what we have on Ninja charts. If you're just going to trade on Ninja, then we don't need the machine ID. Okay, but give us your TradingView login ID. Yeah, the spreadsheet. We had a pretty good day today. Not our best day of the week. Actually, it was our best day of the week. Not our best day of the month. But it was above our average on the month, so it was good. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 18th day of March, 2025. We're up 229 ticks on the NQ, 181 ticks on the Russell. We lost 29 on gold, and we're up 54 on the ES. That put us at $2,435 per contract on the morning session. Today it took 2 minutes and one trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $1,000 with 10 contracts on. And we took a total of 47 trades this morning. I missed a whole bunch. I tried marking up a bunch of them that I missed. You'll see when I get into it. So now on the month, we are currently at $15,787 per contract. That's over 7 business days, averaging $2,255 per contract per day. On the year, now we're at $73,270 over 44 business days, averaging $1,665 per contract per 2-hour business day. Following the 24-20 blueprint, if you were to quit trading after you get your goal for the day, so far this year, we got it in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes and one trade today. So far this week, getting the goal for the day, we traded 5 minutes and 2 trades. Actually, on the whole month, we've only traded 39 minutes. So that's pretty good. Did we have any really long drawn out days? No, nothing over 15 minutes. That's good. Interesting. All right, so if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and add 1 contract a month, so far this year, you would have only worked 6.8 hours and you would have gone in profit from $0 to $12,660. That's a profit. You would have averaged $1,861 per hour in profit. Doing it just like I did, quitting when you get the goal. All right. Lots of trades today, so I have a lot to go over. Let's start out with the gold. The gold is one that had my number today. It's like one every day. It's got me. It seems like I struggle with one market every day, and gold was the one today. All right, we didn't have a ton of trades, but we didn't have a lot of good ones. All right, we started out with a stop out here on gold, -10. Then we went from -10 to -20 right there. Then we got 10 back right there. Went to -10 again. Then we had a break even and we got 1 right there. Went to -9. Break even. Another stop out. Went to -19. A break even. And there was another stop out in here. I didn't write it down, but I don't know where it was. There's another stop out. I'll put it right here. This looks like a good spot for it right here. I don't know why I would have shorted there. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, I see it. I think that is exactly where it was. Right there. I was saying if it pulls up and goes up to the 100%, it's going to be exactly at my stop. And it actually threw it a little bit. And I did short there, and I stopped up. So that put me at -29 on the gold. During the break, there was a trade here, 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 here. All those are winning trades. Here, and there's one right now. Okay, there's one right now on the gold. Trying to find my DOM because I think I can still put that on. Did it go 4 ticks into profit? That's the question. 3.8 was entry point and 4.1, so it hasn't gone 4 ticks into profit, so I can still put it on. Okay, Just throw it on right here. There it is. Let me put window on top. Slide it over. We'll get into the next market. The next market was the Russell. So what has this done right here? It's gone up and done 100% retracement. It's actually gone up and didn't put in a higher swing, but it's done the 50% retracement of this leg. So what should it do right now? It should go up to the prior swing high again and attempt another try at that level right up there. Okay, that's what it should do. It should get up here to 44.8 right here, 44.8. So I grab this target and I bring it down here. I'll put it at 44.7. That's what we should see on this. So if I don't do anything to it right now, I don't trail my stop or anything like that, this should give us this much, 13 ticks. I am going to trail my stop because that's what the rules say. But I'll just leave it alone. It should give us 13 ticks. We don't have any risk on the trade anymore. And this is what it should do. Okay. I've been trying to be more, I don't know. I've been trying to tell you more what I'm thinking in the morning sessions when I see trades setting up. So you guys can start to think that way yourselves. Okay, hopefully. We ended up with a break even on that. I could have taken some profit, but right now we're going to get into the Russell. Okay, now the Russell was awesome today. We had one stop out toward the end of the session, but look at all those blues. And the Russell, it was really close. Every time it was really close to stopping me out, and then it would go and give me 10 or 20 ticks. Our first trade of the day, though, was right here on the Russell. We picked up 20 ticks on that one. That one was right from the go. We were positive on that one. We had two of them like that out of the, we have 11, 12 trades on the Russell. Two of them were, they just went right from the opening, kept going. This was one. We ended up with 20 ticks on that and 10 ticks on this one, got us to plus 30. Then we had another 20 ticks on that, got us to plus 50. Then another 20 ticks on that, got us up to 70. 10 ticks on that, got us to 80. 20 ticks on that, got us to 100. 22 ticks on that, got us to 122. 11 ticks on that, got us to 133. 24 ticks on that got us to 157. Something got us up to 182. And 182 we went up to 191, and then we finally had our first stop out, minus 25 ticks. So from 191 down to 166, and 166 up to 171, and 171 up to 181. So the Russell was really nice to trade today, and I missed a bunch of trades in there. I highlighted some of the trades that I missed, these red lines that you see. Those are some of the trades that I missed. I guess I didn't miss that many. There was one here I missed. I guess it was one. I got those. I got that. I got that. I didn't miss too many trades in here. I got that. There was one right here. That would have been a nice trade that I missed. One right here. There was a nice trade that I missed. One right here. I got that one. One right. I got that one. I got that one. I got that one. During the break. So I only missed like one trade. During the break, there was one right here that would have been a win. One right here that would have been a win. One right here that would have been a win. One right here. That would have been a break even. One right here. That would have been a break even. One right here. That would have been a win. And all the way over to here. We have a trade right now. Let's see. Is the range trigger something? No, Bob, it's not. It's got nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with it at all. It may look like it because it goes from from the bottom to the top. That's the only thing that's similar to it, is that it goes from the bottom to the top. Okay, the math behind it all is completely different. And I have some new stuff. Well, it doesn't really apply to here, but I have some new stuff that I've created that that is coming out with regard to that too. And I wanted to tell you guys, I figured out that, I've been showing the TV trades up here, showing these things in the TV trades, but the other thing that comes along with the TV trades is the table. And the table is also in the context PP. Right, the table in the TV trades is a little more involved. It's got a little more stuff in it than the context PP table. I'll show you. I'll just show you a comparison. Okay, the context PP, it's not the context. I just wanted to show you this. Take a moment and show you this because I figured something out last night that has been plaguing not just me, but everybody else. So you see the table right here. This is the context PP table. It's got the targets And it'll give you that information on either side. It'll give you targets on the short side or the long side, depending on what side of the BBC you're on. The TV trades table is a different animal, though. That, let's see if we turn on. Hang on, I gotta figure out how to turn that thing back on. Tables, lines. Pivot labels. That's why I organized all this stuff. Well, anyway, what here I gotta put those on to be able to see it. There it is. Okay, so let me move it around so you can see it a little better. We'll move it to the right. Okay, so this one's got more information. It's got the entry, the stop, what the profit is between the entry and the stop, and the difference between the risk reward. It does that too. So it does a lot more information in there. And the math in this one might be too, but the math in this one is slowing things down. And when it's going back to find these targets, the same thing with this one, when it's going back to find those targets, it does it on every tick. And I think that is slowing things down. So I'm going to I actually did redo the code in that so that it doesn't put the table on automatically. So you'll be able to put the table on optionally if you want to. And so it doesn't have to do that math every time. And that will help. Sometimes down here at the bottom, the lines don't paint on every bar, and it's because it's using all the processing up here on this. So I've redone that a little bit. I haven't released it yet, but I got to do it for the TV trades. I got to do it for the context also. The context doesn't have the table in it, but the context PP does. So I'll give you that option in context PP too. The one thing about the context PP though, you guys may or may not know, if you put the context PP on, by default, it puts the table on. You can take that table off, but by unchecking that right there, it'll take the table off, but it still does the math. Okay, that just removes the display. It doesn't stop the processing. So I'm going to work on that for you guys. Okay, that's straightened out for you and me. The gold has a short in here. The Russell had a long trade way back here. The ES, I guess we're on to the ES right now as far as going over the new stuff. The trades today, I'm sorry. On the ES today, we had quite a few trades on the ES, so let's go back to the beginning on that. All right, we didn't end at the high of the day on the ES, but we did pretty close to it. All right, so our first trade on the ES was right in here. We picked up 8 ticks on the first trade. Then 14 ticks on the second trade to get us to 22. Then 20 ticks on the third trade to get us to 42. Then a break even, and then we stopped out, brought us down to 32. Then we had a break even and a small win to get us up to 36. Then a break even, then I stopped out again. This was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. And that brought me down to, hang on, everything's all mixed up. 36 down to 26. Okay, then we had a 30 tick win on that one right there. We entered short right there, and then it gapped down. And it filled not just me, but it filled a bunch of guys on the gap down. And so we ended up with 30 ticks on that one. That got us up to 56. All right, then we got to 64 on that one. Then we stopped out there, brought us down to 54. We had a break even. Then went from 54 to 62, and then we stopped out again, brought us down to 52, and we had a break even. And then we got 2 more ticks there to get us to 54, and that is where we ended up for the morning session. So it wasn't an easy day. I mean, it was a good day, but it wasn't an easy day. I have 2 trades going on right now. One is on the Russell. I'm going to go to break even, and one is on the gold. I'm going to go to break even. Okay. Here's the Russell one. I just went to break even on that. That was long, and this is the gold is short. I'm going to break even on that one too. I have to go back and see why I took those trades. I'm going to lock in profit on the Russell right now. I'm going to lock in 10 ticks on the Russell. In the gold, I'm just going to leave it at break even for now. If that starts to move, I'll bring it back over and show you. Let's see, during the break, there was a short here, a long here, a long here, a short here, a short here, a short there, long there. Oops, a short right there I missed. A long there. Short, short, long, short, long, long, and a short right in there. A long right here. And that was it. Turn the break. Okay, I am out of the gold, and I'm going to lock in a little bit more profit on the NQ. All right, I'm going to lock in 18 ticks right there. Not the NQ, on the Russell. Sorry, the Russell. And I'm out of the Russell with 18. Okay, that was the yes today. Now, I figured something else out about this too. I have, well, these little tabs. It looks like there's more than 35 right there, doesn't it? Anyway, I figured something else out about that too, but I digress. Let's just go, oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's just go back to the beginning here. Wow, it's taking a long time. Alt, back. Hang on, cancel. I'm trying to go back to the beginning of the day. Oh, it did. I already go back to the beginning of the day. It went back to the beginning of a whole bunch of days. What did I do? On a 50 range. Oh, I went to the VIX. That's what I did. I knew something didn't look right there. NQM. There we go. So now you know what the VIX looks like on a 50 tick range. What I was trying to do was Alt and the back arrow like that. All right. So on the NQ, our first trade of the day was a plus 12. Then our second trade was a plus 75. That got us up to 87. And from 87 to 103, then 103 to 119. 87 to 103, then 103 to 119. Then we had something else in there that I didn't count, and then we stopped out. And I said we went from 119 down to 59, but we had to trade in there that I missed. We went from 59 up to 134, so that must have been a 75 tick, then a break even, then from 134 up to 150, and 150 up to 225, and then we reversed that, and we went from 225 up to 229, and that is where we ended it with the NQ. Now you see all this nice chop right here. We had 1, 2, 3, just 3 trades in all that chop. They all worked out, all 3 of them worked out. There was one more trade right here that would have worked out okay. One right here that would have worked out okay. Right here, right here, right here, and right here. So we had some really nice trades there on the NQ today. We ended up with plus 229 ticks on the NQ. So those of you guys with access to the context, it doesn't have the table in it. So we don't have to make any changes to that to make it process better. When I do put the change in, it's going to be in the context PP. And in the context PP, I'll make the table view optional. Easier to make it optional so that it's either you'll be able to check it and turn it on or off. So it doesn't do the processing if you turn it off. Because right now you can make it go away, but it still processes. Okay. And I didn't realize until I had added some more stuff that was a little complicated that it all started to add up and run a computer down. And I went and bought a new computer, hoping that that would alleviate the problem. And it did alleviate it some, but it didn't fix it overall. So the real thing, the best thing is to just recode it so it's better. You know, when you keep adding things on per requests, that's how things snowball. There's a long here on the gold and there's a short here on the Russell. Okay, short here on the Russell, long here on the gold. This needs to go 8 ticks into profit. It's going to get down, not 8 ticks, 10 ticks into profit. It's going to get down here to 7.3. Why does that look like more than 10? 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is 10. Okay, so this one's going to go to break even. And this one is not ready to go to break even yet. Right, the gold should get up here to the prior swing high of 44.9. So this one can now go to break even. I think, right? It's going to be a 0.3. Isn't it 3 yet? And we had another break even on the gold. We did have time to lock in some profit on the gold. I am going to lock in a little bit here on the Russell. I'm going to try to lock in a little bit here on the Russell. Did I have an automated stop movement thing going on there? What the heck did I do? There it is. It's not automated. There. That will lock some in for me. Okay, so we have 22 ticks locked in right there. And it just took me out. And it cleared everything. That is strange. Anyway, so we got 22 ticks on that. We're going to break even over here on the gold. We don't have anything else happening here or here or here or here right now. And it is 1:19, so we have 11 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions? Bob, in your invite onlys, when you joined, I think I only gave you access to the context PP, right? You didn't get access to the context. The context is a lesser version of the context PP. But it's also got less code behind it. Okay. Because I can give you access to the context without the context PP if you're not going to use, it depends if you're using the tables and the risk reward ratio and all that stuff. On every trade. If you're using the targets, the target lines, then that's in the table, and you're going to want the table for that. Now, I guess the other thing I could do is make the table work on bar close instead of every tick. There's a short here on the yes. I just shorted it. Here it is. It was right here where the blue went up into the overbought by itself. It should go down to right here, 61.75 right now. Stop to break even. It should go to 61.75 right here. There it is. Gonna lock in a couple of ticks on that since it's done what I thought it should do already. Point. And it's out. Okay, so now we have everything all bunched up down here, so that's not going to be a trade for you. Okay. Interesting. My logged in is, I'm logged in as CFR. Okay. All right. It's got a little gap here. It's going to have to fill. It had a short right here, but it gapped right up there, so I'm not going to bother with that. The Russell also is moving up. So the Russell is in a point right now where if it's going to do 100% retracement, it's going to get up to here. All right, if it's going to do 100% retracement, so it's going to require a close of that bar in a flat spot right there. So you could short it right now, the Russell. Short it right now, and it should give you a pretty good run down to here. Okay. Uh-oh. My Russell just hung up. Right, there it goes. Okay. It just caught back up, and now it just hung up again. I'm going to get out of this thing right now. Move my stop to break even. I just got a message something. That was weird. It was doing some kind of data load right there on the Russell. That was strange. Anyway, I got to break even on the Russell, but the spot to sell it would have been right up here, where I was just explaining to you. Okay, you could have gotten it at the open too. It might have just stopped you out. If you got it right at the open, it probably would have just stopped you out. But it should go down to right about here right now, 65.4. And so that would be a good spot to buy it right down there. If you get a down close on this bar, well, it's already giving you the opportunity to buy it right here. I think it should go down just to here more than that, but you can buy it right there if you want. I bought it just a second ago.
Trump and Putin are talking. Stefan
They
just put
are.
in the discussion group, yeah. So he said volatility's hitting the markets. So we'll see.
Imminent. All right. And I just got something else about.
Hold on for me 1 second.
Sure. Sure. I am here. All right. So this has to go one more tick. Let's get it up to 0.5, made above it to break even. Did it get to 4? It got down to 3, so I was figuring that. Okay, there it is. We'll stop to break even. Now, if Trump and Putin are talking, we could be in like the kind of stuff that can gap. So probably best not to trade at all. I just took the 1 tick on that where I could have taken 10. Something to consider. Okay. Let's see here. There. All right. So who's that? Jeff had sent that. Geoff. There's a short here on the NQ. Right now, the way the NQ is right now, if it's going to do 100% retracement, it's going to get up here. That'll stop you out on the short. All right. It's gone through the midpoint already. There's the 100% retracement. Okay, you got the flat spot there now. And if it's going to push down from right there, from the flat spot, then that's something that might get a good move on, a 50% retracement of that leg up.
Anyway, I apologize for putting you on hold, but I had to.
That's okay.
But anyway, we
That's all
were
right.
just saying about potential volatility for them talking. So I don't know if it's being streamed live or people are leaking out what's said. I don't know. But anyway, I'm done.
How would anybody even know? All right, so we're short.
We knew they were scheduled to have a conversation today.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was part of the news.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't check the news today. I know we have FOMC tomorrow. And we had some pre-market stuff today. I didn't realize we had that. Was that an unscheduled thing that they added today? I guess I can just go look, can't I? It's right here.
I don't believe it's going to be under the economic reports.
No.
It's just been talked about on the news for some time. Last night on the news, they said tomorrow the president, I read an article at the beginning of the broadcast that said Putin and Trump will have a telephone call today.
Now look at this in the news. The news that came out this morning. Housing starts month over month, 11.2%. They're expecting a draw of 1.9. That's what I'm actually seeing around here, because under Biden, all these developments they had, it all stalled out. They cleared the land. They put up like just a couple of houses on it, but right now they're all out there and they're throwing down houses as fast as they can.
Huh.
All the ones that are around me. This is the one within 2 miles of me. There are 3 of them, probably 400 houses they're going to put in those 3 developments, and they're just throwing them down as fast as they can right now. They had cleared all the land. I mean, one was a golf course, One was sort of a forest area, and the other one was also sort of a forest area. They're almost combined, those two forest areas. There were black bears that were living in there. They call it a bear park, the place that they're building, because they relocated the bears that were living in there.
Interesting.
Yeah. North Carolina. You don't get that in Massachusetts. At least not where I lived. There was this one park that we used to go to, used to take the kids to. It was called Moose Park. And we used to see deer there all the time. And kids would love it. Life was so simple then.
Were they domesticated or?
No. Well, they would come up pretty close to you.
Yeah.
But you could feed them, but not let you hand.
They didn't see people as a threat. I got you.
No. Nope. Not there. They had some walking trails and stuff like that, but they never went that far with the kids. They would just learn how to ride their bikes and stuff. So they had a parking lot that I could let them ride their bikes. It's kind of flat. That was funny when they were riding their bikes. When Lexi took a little while to learn how to ride hers. She took a few tries to learn how to ride hers. Mm-hmm. And once Jake saw that she was riding hers, he was off. He learned how to ride immediately. It's like I put him on the bike and he was gone. Lexi, I put her on a little slope in my yard, and it was there were two trees on either side, and if she just kept the handlebars straight, she would have gone right between the two trees. I mean, it was like 20 feet between the two trees, and we're only 10 feet away. And twice in a row, bam, right into the tree. It's like the tree was a magnet. It just drew her.
What happens is she's seeing the trees, and so her eyes are focused on the tree because she doesn't want to hit the tree, and so that you're right. It's like a magnet. You're gonna go where you're looking. If she had just looked straight ahead and ignored the trees, she'd have been fine. But anyway,
that's what worked. When I took her to a place that didn't have trees, then she was okay.
Yeah,
she was okay then. I got to break even on the Russell. I'm short the ES right now. But yeah, I took her to the high school. They had a field that had a hill on it that didn't have any trees, and she was able to do it there. Life was so simple. My DS just stop. No, it just gave me another data thing. I don't know why it keeps doing this. Yeah, it did it again. All right, I'm going to go to break even on this. I don't know why they're doing data stuff right now. It just did another data download or something like that. Did it to gold too, it just said. But I'm going to break even, and now +2. And you see it's not caught up. I think I'm going to stop trading. It's time anyway. All right, guys. With that, I am going to show you how to take the free trial. If you go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for the trial. Click on the purple button. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill out the form. Give us your TradingView login ID so we can enable the indicators for you. All right, get your indicators indicating. Give us that. And that's it. All right, with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. If you are ready. Okay, Dwayne's not ready.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say I can just put some more trades on. Just watching the data right now. That's weird. It's never done that before.
Okay, recap of the morning session.
Today it took 2 minutes and 1 trade to get to $1,000 with 10 contracts on.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. We shall pick up where we left off. and that was on crude, which is having a big down day, which should make everybody happy, because at some point it should translate to the gas pump. Price of gas is down, eggs are down. All right. This is where we opened right here last night. And of course the targets were published 5 minutes ahead of the open, as we've already discussed. Here at the zone, this opening candle stretched down and almost hit the target. It missed it by 2 pennies. So there was certainly enough room to get your goal for the day if you wanted to play it that way. When the market finds support, it's going to go look for resistance. So we come up through the VVC. Now the pullback holds more often than not, but eventually it will trade through, as it did right here. And it hit the long target, and it hit the weekly trading zone. And we know that when price encounters a weekly zone, 70% of the time it consolidates, 20% of the time it gets rejected, and then 10% of the time you get the slice. So up we go to the zone, resistance, the pullback, because the markets were very bullish at this point in the session. We didn't pull all the way back to the VVC. We pulled back to the step line, and then we made this nice run. Now 68.95 up there, that's the highest weekly zone for the week. But things changed drastically off that 8:30 news. Blue and climbing became red and falling, and we just ripped right through the well, actually we punched through the BVC and then the pullback held, and that sent us down to the top of that long target, which quite often becomes support, and it did give us a little bounce, but ultimately sellers took control of the market, pushed us all the way down to the short target. We consolidated there for 30 minutes, and we took another drop, putting the low on the day at 66.57. Now that low, okay, see right here where the step line crossed. Now this was back on last Friday. See where the step line crossed red and falling, which made it turn into blue and climbing. Okay, now that area right there, look at the horizontal line on my cursor. That's where your support came from. Okay, now if you want to come down here to the area where it actually turned from red to blue, then that's spot on with that. Okay, that's why I keep saying it's so important that you learn to read the chart and know what to expect, and also to understand that 20% of the time the market is not going to do the next high probability thing. It's going to do something different. So you take it with grace and move on. Okay, this was a wild candle right here. Price, we ran it all the way up to 67.32. We had a low of 66.57, and then we ended up closing that candle at 66.87. Okay, so we've bounced back up to the zone and the step line and red and falling. So right now we've got resistance times 3. 3 reasons that the market should find resistance here and give us another leg to the downside. But pretty volatile. And of course, the discussions that the president and Putin had or may still be having, crude plays an important role in all that. Gold, here's where we opened last night. just above the zone, above the VBC. We got blue and climbing. So everything says we should expect higher prices. And there we are. Now, this candle right here opened at, we'll call it 3013, and ran up just over $400 to the target. It spiked the target just a little bit. Almost a buck. It's $80 per contract. That little bit of wick above the target. So we hit resistance. Got to look for support. We find it at blue and climbing. And that sends us up on another leg, a retracement, and a leg. We hit the zone. And then we come back. Now, again, I tell you this every day, just to remind you. Once price trades cleanly through the longer short target, on the retracement, that target will very often become, in this case, support, because we traded through the long target. When you trade through the short target and you get a pullback, then the short target will often become resistance. So we get a leg, retracement, a leg, a retracement, and another leg. So we hit the zone 1, 2, 3 times, then we consolidated here, and then we got a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, pull back held, pull back held. We failed to put in a higher high here. Okay, so we got a high, we got a lower high. We're pulling back to the VBC. Now blue and climbing is directly above price, so is it the step line. So those are now potential resistance. Probably sufficient to send it back to the VBC. And if the pullback holds, we catch a bounce. If the pullback fails to hold, then you've got potential support here and here, here, and here. Remember, you only need a $1 move in gold to get your goal for the day. And last but not least, silver. Here's where we opened last night. We dropped to the VBC, the pullback held, and it basically sent us right up to the target. Now the target was based off of the bearish cross on Friday. That's when the red line gets below the green line. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. And it was for quite a few hours. And then we pulled back to the VBC. We didn't quite touch it because the markets were bullish. So we get a leg, a retracement, pull back holds at the zone, we get another leg, we get another retracement, and we come all the way back 1, 2, 3 candles in a row. And again, because we traded through the long target on the pullback, the top side of that long target became support, support, support. So like gold, we've got a high, a lower high, and now a lower high. And we're trading through the BBC. Okay, so you've got potential support at the low of this candle here, 34.67. If you come down here to like 34.63, 34.61, 2 pennies, that gives you your goal for the day. All right, and let's just make sure this isn't stuck, because it doesn't look like it's moved. Yeah, it's still the same. Price is sitting on top of support, the step line. Now remember, when the step line crosses, that's an indication that price will attempt to retrace back to the BBC. And you'll notice that both red and falling and the step line are directly below price. That tells us that red and falling may curl up and become blue and climbing. And if so, That would complete the scenario that we started yesterday, taking us up to the 38 and the daily BBC, which should both be good resistance. So if that happens, it'll look like this: a leg, a retracement, and a leg. But that's all dependent upon this holding as support or this holding as support. Okay. And again, because we're now officially in a downtrend, we have reverse fibs. So these fib retracements. See, regular fibs, when you're in an uptrend, you go from the low to the high. But in a downtrend, you go from the high to the low. Now, Stefan posted a great chart yesterday that showed a trend line he had from a while back. It lined right up with this high. And I think I commented on that in the discussion group. So there you have it. To become a member, email support@cfrn.net. In the subject line, put "I want to become a member." The body of the email, put your name, your phone number. We'll send you an info packet via email that explains what it means to become a passport holder. And there'll be a link you can click to actually become a member. 2 hours of live training every trading day in an interactive environment. You're watching, asking questions, trading along in your demo account till you qualify to go live. It's that simple. And please don't be shy. Ask every question that pops into your head. Eventually you will run out of questions because the rules don't change. Along with 2 hours of group training every trading day, you have access to private one-on-one mentoring, the strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder, are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Price flows the same across all markets and time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Price goes from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. That's why it's important that you learn how to read a chart so that you know where to expect potential resistance or potential support, which will unveil the windows of opportunity in between. With the understanding, based over 345 weeks and over 19,000 alerts, 20% of the time the market is not going to do the next high probability thing. It's going to do something completely opposite for reasons that you'll never figure out. So don't waste your time. Just move on to the next trade, the next high probability setup. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock, the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening. Monday mornings at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones for the week. Once they're published, they're carved in stone. They don't change in any way whatsoever. And you're able to attend the members only workshop every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And last but not least, you get the golden key that opens the private channels and Telegram. There's public channels, there's private channels. But once you become a passport holder, you have access to everything. Just email us, support@cfrn.net, and in the subject line, put me in the game, coach. All right, let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Yesterday we talked about living with integrity at home. Today, don't doubt God. John 20:25. I won't believe it unless I see it. John writes, Thomas, nicknamed the twin, was not with the others when Jesus came. They told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he replied, "I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands, put my fingers into them, and place my hand into the wound in his side." 8 days later, the disciples were together again, and this time Thomas was with them. The doors were locked, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. And then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hand. Put your hand into the wound in my side. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe." Thomas exclaimed, "My Lord and my God." That's John 20:24 through 28. Doubting Thomas. Jesus picked a doubter to be his disciple. And when he doubted, Jesus didn't denounce and dismiss him. He actually put in a special appearance to resolve his doubts and build his faith. American author Elizabeth Elliot said, "True faith only goes into operation when there are no answers." God says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts." Isaiah 55:8. The truth is, God doesn't think like us. He sees the big picture, and he works towards a specific end. Jesus said in John 16:12, "I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now." So when you find yourself doubting, pray this: "Lord, believing isn't easy when I'm hurt and confused and you are silent. Like Thomas, I want proof that you love me. Help me to see beyond my desire for peace and comfort, beyond my doubts and unanswered questions, and to grasp the truth of your unfailing love and grace." Don't doubt God. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this: there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.